Davis. He's the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. So, Mike, thanks so much for joining us today. So we have the Southern District of New York. They were tasked with providing these documents to the Trump administration. But how did they manage to withhold this information from the American public?
Well, it is amazing that we have one of the biggest scandals in American history. Attorney General Pam Bondi last night said that there were over 250 victims here, and it's just egregious, the most egregious misconduct imaginable. I want to say cheers to the Attorney General Pam Bondi for moving to get this stuff out there. She said last night that they have to be careful to make sure that they're redacting information that could make these victims get re-victimized by revealing their identity. But it's shocking that it's taken this long. It's taken President Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi having to step in so the American people know what happened here.
Do you think we'll actually get all of the documents? I know that Attorney Bondi today in a document, the binder that was obtained by Blaze Media earlier today, in a letter to Kash Patel said that that SDNY was actually withholding files, and all of a sudden a whistleblower told her that there were thousands of documents that weren't there. So basically what we got today was just the contact list, right? That in a lot of ways had been out there before, a lot of it redacted. Do you think that we'll actually get the full breadth of the documents from these people?
Well, the Attorney General on Fox News last night said that she's going to get these out there other than to redact information that would re-victimize these victims. And so she's publicly stated that, so I would take her word for it. It's inexcusable that they've been dragging their feet so long within these agencies. I mean, the Southern District of New York is withholding documents from the Attorney General of the United States, and that's the problem with the Southern District of New York. They need to get a civics lesson again from Amel Bove, the Deputy Attorney General, the acting Deputy Attorney General, that they're not the Sovereign District of New York. They report to the Deputy Attorney General, who reports to the Attorney General, who reports to the President of the United States, who reports to American voters.
Well, yeah, along those lines, is there any legal justification that you could come up with where you would say, yeah, okay, we can keep these files away from Pam Bondi or the Trump administration, right? If you're a leftist right now, what's going through your head to say, oh, no, there's some legal justification. We can make something up.
Well, you're seeing this all over the government. They're going to their activist judges and saying that the Treasury Secretary, for example, somehow can't look at Treasury payments. I mean, it's insane that we have this deep state mindset that the duly elected President of the United States and his political appointees are somehow forbidden from looking at information or directing people within the executive branch. That is the president's core constitutional responsibility and duty under Article 2 of the Constitution. He has all of the executive power, and this idea that people within the executive branch don't report to the President of the United States is not only asinine, it's dangerous.
Yeah, Mike, I want to get into another Supreme Court ruling with you because it was a recent ruling that was delaying a court-mandated deadline for the Trump administration to pay out nearly $2 billion to these foreign aid groups, right? And this comes after the U.S. District Court ruled that the Trump administration had violated the terms of the temporary restraining order that had frozen that foreign aid. So can you explain that for us?
So President Trump campaigned on the fact that he's going to hire Elon Musk. He's going to set up DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and they're going to root out waste, fraud, and abuse within the executive branch. And that is not only within the president's executive responsibilities, it's one of the president's executive duties under Article 2 of the Constitution. He has the constitutional duty to take care that our laws are faithfully executed. And that includes appropriations by Congress. The president has to make sure that appropriations by Congress are not being subject to waste, fraud, and abuse. We have to make sure, for example, that money that's supposed to go to UN aid relief in Gaza is not going to Hamas terrorists who are raping, torturing, murdering, kidnapping Americans and Israelis. And you have these activist judges, these two whack job activist judges who just got confirmed recently by the Senate Democrats and appointed by Joe Biden, who say that the president of the United States not only can't exercise his core Article 2 powers to take care that our laws are faithfully executed, these activist judges are saying the president has to just mindlessly send out $2 billion without making sure that there's not waste, fraud, and abuse. Fortunately, the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts, put an end to this nonsense last night, and he issued an order saying that these lower courts need to stand down until the Supreme Court rules on this matter.
Yeah, in the Supreme Court's ruling on the matter, if my memory serves me correctly, in the the early 1970s, the Impoundment Control Act came in, which would stop impoundments. That's just the impoundment's a fancy way of saying the president can stop money from being spent that's been appropriated, right? And it seems like the Trump administration is on a crash course with the judiciary and the Congress to try and get that reversed, right? To say that the Impoundment Control Act, I believe, is unconstitutional. And it seems like Congress has abdicated its responsibility in a bunch of ways. It's just, here's a pot of money, use it to do X, Y, Z broadly, which means that the president probably has the ability to say where exactly it's going to be spent. What are your thoughts on that? Are we headed for a landmark case, maybe saying that the Impoundment Control Act is unconstitutional?
So we have President Trump's Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought, along with his general counsel, Mark Paoletta, two of my very good friends who take the position that the president under Article 2 of the Constitution has the power to impound funds that are appropriated by Congress. There are other people who say that once Congress appropriates the funds, they have the power of the purse. The president is essentially a mindless monkey and just has to issue the checks. Regardless of what side you're on, I think that there's very little disagreements that if Congress appropriates money and it's being misspent with waste, fraud, and abuse, the president under Article 2's Take Care Clause can absolutely stop that, right? If Congress appropriates money for the UN in Gaza under the false pretense that it's going to go feed starving Gazans, and then the president correctly understands, oh, wait, this isn't going to starving Gazans, this is going to Hamas, where they're raping and murdering and torturing and kidnapping women, children, babies, the elderly, the disabled. The president, of course, under the Article 2 Take Care Clause and the president's chief executive officer power and his commander-in-chief power can stop those, right? And so, again, this idea that the president is just some mindless monkey that issues checks on behalf of Congress is just not correct.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of his big talking points for about the last 30 years or so. So he's going to be excited to get this one going. But I want to go back to the judges with you, because we do see representatives like Eli Crane and others that are going out there and trying to say we need to start impeaching some of these judges. What would you say? And do we need to see more of the members of Congress calling out these judges?
Well, I'm glad that the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts, not exactly a MAGA fan. I've never seen him wearing a MAGA hat. I've never seen Trump signs in his yard in Chevy Chase. But I think the Chief Justice understands when you have these radical left-wing lunatic activist judges appointed by Joe Biden telling the president that he has to appropriate, he has to spend funds that the president wants to review to make sure are not being misspent. They're not supporting terrorism in Gaza, for example. I think that these judges are overstepping their bounds. We have President Trump, who is exercising core Article 2 powers under the Constitution, executive powers. President Trump's not trying to steal the Congress's legislative powers under Article 1, or he's not trying to steal the Supreme Court's judicial powers under Article 3. He's exercising Article 2 executive powers. And when you have activist judges trying to sabotage the president when he's exercising his Article 2 executive powers, something needs to happen. Congress needs to step in with oversight. Congress needs to step in And with the power of the purse, Congress needs to step in and take away their jurisdiction. And if we have to, the Congress needs to step in and impeach these rogue activist left-wing judges.
Well, let's hope that we start seeing some of that. It's good to see the administration coming together, things, slowly getting turned around out there in Washington, D.C. It's going to take some time, though. But thanks so much for your time, Mike Davis.
Thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere. When we come